Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Morning Shred with me, Mark Murray. This is the show where you wake up Sunday morning, go get your coffee, whatever you like in the morning, go cruise over to YouTube, and there's a brand new episode of Sunday Morning Shred for you to tune into. Watch me talk about guitars, I answer your guys' questions that you send me. Sometimes I have a guest on, but this week will be guest list. I actually have a special little secret surprise for you guys, and we're going to go back into the vault and look at some old guitars from around 1998, the old ESP LTD catalog, and that's going to be super fun. I love looking at old guitar catalogs and seeing the models and reminiscing to back, over 20 years ago when these things were brand new. I have a couple really cool guitars that I'm going to be showing you. I got a few new guitars that I picked up over the last week or two, and of course I got a guitar of the week to show you guys. And I got another one over here that I'm going to be shipping out in the next week or so, so I wanted to show you guys that one. It's a pretty unique, pretty cool guitar. And then, yeah, towards the end of the show, I'll come back and we'll have a Q&A. I took some of your guys' questions on Instagram last week, and I got a bunch of really good ones, so I think I have over 20 of them here. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them, but we'll try. So, okay, we got this one. This is the one that's going out this week. Check this out. This is pretty unique. This is actually an OLP, which this is all going to kind of tie in to the theme of the show here today, which is LTD guitars and 1998-ish to 2000-ish working at a guitar shop. If you watched Thrash to Thrash, I think it was last week, I talked about what it was like to work at a guitar shop when I was about 12 years old or so. I used to go to this guitar shop every single day, and eventually I was there so much the customers started to recognize me. I'd be trying out all the different guitars, all the Boss pedals that I was obsessed with, and the customers who would come in for their weekly lessons and stuff would start to recognize me because I was seriously there so much. And they would come up and hear me playing Metallica. They'd be like, oh, it's that kid again playing Metallica songs. And they'd start throwing out song titles, and I would be able to keep up with all their requests. It was a lot of fun. This guitar, I remember working there when these came out, OLP MM1. And at the time, these things were like $250. I was going to buy one in amber with the quilted maple top. I just never did for some reason, but they're a cheaper version of the Music Man, Eddie Van Halen series, or the Axis, or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, this is the MM1 model. So these are really cool. I even painted the headstock. We put a silver logo on the front of that. The customer sent me to put on there. Awesome maple neck. If you saw my Running with the Devil cover, I did it with a black sparkle version. It's the same exact guitar. These necks are awesome. They're super thin, really to play on. Alright, where was I? My microphone just died on me, but looks like we're back on. So, this guitar, yeah, they're great guitars. The big things I did with this one were I added the Floyd Rose down here. I had an extra black chrome EVH branded Floyd Rose special here. So we added that down here. We added the nut up top, of course. And routed out the back bigger so it would fit the Floyd Rose range of motion, because the standard, standard trim doesn't move that far. But so there's quite a bit of modification that goes into that, and I'm going to show that at some point on Thrash to Thrash. I also have, I added a kill switch up here, which is kind of crazy because if you notice here, there was no opening up there. You had to have some type of access to the back so you could wire in the kill switch. This guitar never actually had that. So I added a huge hole there, cut a little spot for a cover to sit in, and then we got the kill switch coming out up here, which is super nice. And next time I build a Wolfgang for myself, definitely going to have to do that. It's heavily relicked, so you can see it's got all kinds of damage, ding, sanding. Turned out awesome. I love the zebra pickups with it. These were great guitars. Oh, hey, Ruka. Ruka came over. Hey, buddy. Ruka is a 12-year-old gold lab. Come here, big girl. Ugh. Here she is. Look at her silver face. That used to be all gold. All gold. That brings me into my next guitar I want to talk about. So, this is Pretty similar to the LTD I showed you guys last week on the show, the MH-1000. This is a green MH-1000. I found this one on Reverb a while back, and if you watch the early Trash to Thrash episodes, I talked about it on there. The crazy deal I got on it. I got this thing for 550 bucks, and it, you know, brand new was $900. Came with the hard shell case with the 550, so I totally scored. Turns out, you know, green guitars are like a weird thing to people. Some people love them, some people hate them. And this one had been on there for like 17 weeks or something crazy. So I think the guy was asking $650. I shot him an offer of $550, and he took it. It originally came with all black hardware, but I switched it out to gold hardware because I love gold hardware. And went with the Goto tuners, which are made in Japan, my favorite tuners. Down here, we got the EMG 8160 set. Got the Floyd Rose 3000 gold. And it's got all kinds of FU tone upgrades. So if you look close, you can see the screws are stainless steel. And then titanium blocks in there. Around back, we got the brass claw, the brass screws, brass big block, 42 millimeter. And I bought too big of a block, so the cover doesn't fit on the back of the guitar anymore, but that's fine with me. I don't care about that. And then we got the noiseless springs. And if you've never used noiseless springs, sometimes when you play with the Floyd Rose, maybe you'll hit a chord and then choke it. And you'll hear this weird ringing that keeps going when you stop the strings. That's the springs in the back. And for some reason, it's not all guitars that do it, but some do it. And if you have that problem, you put some noiseless springs in there and it completely goes away. So it's like the #1 mod I recommend to anybody who has a Floyd Rose, really, because if you're playing like tight breakdowns or any type of tight chokes or anything like that, it makes a big difference in the amount of noise that your guitar is making. Back to the front. You will do what I say when I say back to the front. So back to the front. Got the Tessie kill switch here, which I love Iron Age kill switches. You guys know that, but Iron Age has like a very consistent standard line, and Tessie has all these crazy kill switches that for, you know, certain projects, you got to go with something different. And this one's not even that crazy, but just a gold kill switch with a green LED. Iron Age didn't have that. So Tessie had it, so I went with the Tessie, and their owner's a really cool guy too. I have recently talked to that guy, and good dude. Also went with Q-tone, or Q-parts, volume and tone knobs there, so they have like a premium inlaid knob. They actually don't even match. I ordered 2 green ones, and they came 2 separate different greens, which at first I didn't like, but you know, it's kind of cool, I guess. Yeah, this is like such an awesome guitar. I recently found another MH-1000. It's got like a crack along the back here. So I have a crazy new concept that I came up for a guitar finish, and I already photoshopped it and have it fit onto like this body style. And I was gonna do it on a Jackson or LTD, ESP, something, you know, some type of dinky or soloist. It's crazy. I'm gonna hold off on revealing what it is, so you know, until it's ready to reveal, or I don't know when. But it's gonna be on Trash to Thrash, the whole process of making it, because it's a super involved finish. And I'm actually gonna be making myself one, and then I'm gonna be making one on one of these LTDs that's back here that I'll show you in a second. But this, it's an MH-1000, same model as this that I just picked up with the, it's got a crack along the back of the neck, and the guy said he's had strings on it for a year. He said he set up the action, it holds tune, it doesn't creak or have any weird issues, but with a damaged guitar like that, I'm not gonna try to sell that, you know, buy it and try to sell that to somebody, because I don't know what the real strength of that neck joint is anymore. It's gotta be compromised if you can see a crack through it. And what I would hate to do is, like, you know, repair it cosmetically, ship it to someone, and then the thing fall over. And normally, like, you know, a guitar can handle falling over normally, but if it's already a little weak, you know, it might be a fall that a normal guitar could take. This one can't, and then it snaps, and then, like, you know, that's not right to sell somebody a guitar that's potentially compromised that way. So I'm keeping that one. But one of these other LTDs, I'm going to do it in like the same finish, and let me show you the LTDs. So this one here is actually a 97 or a 98 model, and this is the first LTD that I ever bought, and I think it's like the equivalent to an M100, but back then, there's not even a model name on the 12th fret, it just says LTD. That's how they did it back then. I think that's, at the time they called it an M2. So M body style, 2 pickups, M2. And when I went to buy this, it was the first shipment of LTDs that ever came in to my area. I used to, if you watched Trash to Thrash last week, you saw me talking about how I would go every single week, at least once, to the guitar shop, and I would be there for hours, you know, playing guitars, playing with the Boss pedals, reading the magazines, you know, looking at every square inch of the store. I would be overlooking at trumpets and drums and all the weird stuff too, because after you do everything, you know, do all the stuff you love, I wouldn't want to leave yet. So I'd go over and look at other sections of the store and look at the keyboards and look at the drums, and I just loved being in the music shop so much that customers that would come in, like I'd be there the same days a lot of times, so like they would come in every week for their Thursday lesson or for their Saturday lesson, and I'd always be there. They'd hear someone playing Metallica songs over there, and they'd walk over and they'd start like requesting songs, and then I'd just start playing them, and I would take like people's requests, and nobody could stump me. I used to know like every single Metallica song at like 12 years old. I remember when the first fleet of LTDs came in there, and it was this guitar, an Explorer, and a Flying V. And I had my choice, like I could buy any of them. And at the time I was a huge Jackson and ESP fan. I needed something with the Floyd Rose, and this is the only one that had the Floyd. Go figure that, you know, 20 something years later, the Explorers and the Vs are like impossible to find. They're worth like thousands. People pay like over $1,000 easy for the Explorers. The Vs you just never see. And these are like super common. So I picked the one that's worth nothing, but you know, at the time I needed 24 frets and I needed a Floyd Rose, and this is the only one that had that. So I'm glad I went with this ultimately, because that's what really helped my playing evolve into becoming like a real lead player. But yeah, this is my old LTD. It doesn't have any pickups in it right now, so I'm thinking about restoring it, putting some bone breakers in it or something. I also have an EMG preamp and phase inverter switch installed down there, so when I do wire it back up, it's going to be pretty tricked out with that stuff. Used to have a detuner on it. You can see I actually routed the body there and painted the cavity inside there so that the detuner could like fit all the way out and you could still use the trem bar. And I actually even swapped out this Floyd Rose for an original Floyd Rose, so it's got a nice little upgraded Floyd there. But yeah, this is my old original LTD. Just this last week, I found a crazy deal on Facebook Marketplace, which I had never used for anything, and I'd heard people talk about it a bunch, but never tried it. And finally, somebody was telling me about some crazy deal they found on there. I jumped on there, and it's mostly local stuff, but there is some stuff that's for shipping. And I found this on there. It's another exactly the same guitar as mine. It was from the guy was telling me it's like the first year that LTD was available here in the US, and a made in Korea LTD, exact same model as mine right there. So I saw this thing, I got a crazy deal on it from the guy, and had to buy it. So maybe this will be the other guitar that I build to match my new crazy concept that I came up with. Yeah, right in town. It was so cool to be able to go pick that one up. And then this is one I found a little while ago on Reverb, and it's a HSH pickup configuration. So it has a middle pickup. This might be like a M250, you know, whatever they call that, like a variation. Basically the same guitar. It does have a different bridge though. It has like the Pro style Floyd Rose, which I don't like. It's low profile. It doesn't really swing back. You can't pull the bar up really too much with it. So I might switch that out for a Floyd Rose original, because these bridges weren't that great that came in these things. They're okay, but they're not that great. So probably end up swapping that out. But yeah, to find two of these things recently, like, really blew my mind. You don't really see the Korean models for sale, and those are going to become some really cool guitars. I remember when I was working at World Music, I'll show you guys in the catalog, the LTD catalog, some of the guitars that I used to see all the time coming in and out of there. And there's an Explorer, that EX series that I found in one of the later catalogs, was such a cool guitar. I had one on layaway when I worked there, and that was when I got laid off. I got laid off because a new owner took over. He came in and was like, "Who's this guy?" He saw me working there. I was like 12 years old. I used to vacuum the floor. I would polish guitars. I would help customers. I would smash down boxes in the back. I would clean the bathroom. I would vacuum the individual teachers. There's private lessons in the back rooms there. They had like probably 12 rooms or something where the teachers had their own private rooms to give lessons. I would vacuum all the dudes' rooms. So like I did a bunch of cool stuff there. and I would get discounts on stuff, get everything at cost, and I got $7 an hour store credit. Because I was 12 years old, you know, you can't pay me cash, but I'd get $7 an hour store credit, and I would keep it tallied on the wall. And then I'd look up guitars that I wanted, find ones in the store that I wanted, and they'd order stuff if I wanted to order stuff, and I would just keep a tally and then get to work stuff off. So when I got laid off there, the owner came in, the new owner, and was like, "Who's this guy?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, there's this 12-year-old kid that works here." And he's like, "What? You can't have a 12-year-old kid working here?" So he got rid of me, and I had a guitar half paid off. They ended up just cashing me out for it. But man, that would have been a cool guitar to have, because it's another one, old LTD, that you just never see anymore. So let's go over to the computer. Let's check out the catalog. There's a bunch of really cool guitars in there. Let's go through the catalog, and I'll see you guys over there. Okay, so here we have the ESP, LTD, and USA custom electric guitars and basses. Welcome to ESP. Every guitarist from beginner to veteran knows that ultimate moment when it just feels right. You can't put it into words, and nothing quite compares. That's why we take painstaking care in every guitar we build. From the selection of woods to the quality of components to our hand-built craftsmanship, we have never lost our vision to provide you with the finest guitars on the planet. And every ESP and LTD instrument is supported by a lifetime warranty. ESP designs are innovative, unique, and personal. It's no wonder that so many of today's most respected and successful artists have chosen ESP instruments. So this is before ESP. Oh, they do have a USA Custom series. Oh yeah, their USA Custom shop has been around for a long time. I forgot about that. They weren't doing production models, I don't think, out of there. But okay, so here's their the USA Custom series. Wow, cool. We got the Custom Horizon, the Eclipse Custom, and the M3 Custom. All three with really cool wood. So the Horizon Custom's got the flame maple top here. The Eclipse Custom's got that quilted maple blue. Wow, that thing is sweet. And the M3 Custom with the weird headstock that I don't love. Natural quilted maple. That thing is sweet. So the Horizon Custom, 24 frets, JB and 59 pickups, pictured in amber. The Eclipse Custom EMG 81 pickups. Bound body top with elbow cut, 24 frets. Ooh, that's 24 frets. Nice. M3 Custom came with the 81 SA and 89R pickups. That's a sweet guitar. I wonder if they still make like 2000 catalogs these days. I haven't seen any of the brand new ones anymore because you just go on their websites these days. They had the Viper, the ESP Viper. This is before LTD had the Viper. So the original ESP Viper here, which they discontinued for a long time, I think. And then they just recently brought back the ESP a couple years ago. Horizon there. Got the M2 and the M3 down here. That's like, yeah, I always wanted the M2 or the Mirage. So the Viper was the mahogany body, bolt-on quarter-son, maple neck with bound rosewood fingerboard and headstock, 24 extra jumbo frets, 2 ESP LH200 humbuckers with nickel covers, chrome hardware, available in black, see-through red, see-through blue, see-through purple, green, pearl white, pictured in see-through red. Man, those are cool. But these are what it was all about to me. For years, the M2s were available with the single coil neck position pickup too, which I really liked that. Let's see what it says. Alder body, bolt-on, quarter-son, maple neck with choice of maple or rosewood fretboards, 24 extra jumbo frets, recessed original Floyd Rose locking tremolo, 2 ESP LH200 humbuckers in the M2, or 1 ESP LH200 humbucker. That would be like in the M1, I guess. Oh, and 2 SH100 rail humbuckers in the M3. Black hardware, black pearl white, metallic purple, pictured in black and metallic purple. So those were awesome. Very clean design. Obviously, that's what the Kirk Hammett's based off of. Then we got the Eclipse down here, another 24 frets, mahogany. The LH200 pickups. The acoustic, so the Eclipse, not acoustic, it's a semi-acoustic. Look at these things. ESP was making acoustics back then. I don't think ESP makes those anymore. The weird vintage, I never liked the ESP vintage. To me, it was like the reason you buy an ESP is because you want something super metal, and then to have like a telly or a strap from ESP, it's like, I don't know, for me, it's just not what I wanted. There's the EXP, man. Back when, before ESP was sued by Gibson, and they were actually still making the EXP. Available in white or black, shown there, and I mean, that's the James Hetfield guitar right there. Those things are wicked. So in 1998, you used to be able to just get Explorers like that. And now you can't get them. It's just, if you order from Japan, you might be able to, but here in the States, not happening. A couple ESP basses, the J4 and the J5. Then we come down to the LTDs. So I think this is the second year of LTD. This is the 1998 catalog, and I'm pretty sure 97 is when they introduced LTD. We have the H200. That's a Horizon. We have the E200, which is an Eclipse, and the Ultra 200. That's what my buddy Steve Pucci over on Instagram bought, the green flame maple Rhodes that I had. He's a huge fan of these the Ultras. He has a bunch of them. And then down here we have the LTD M200, the M250, the B204, and the B205. So yeah, this is the one I have, basically, the M200. The M250's got the 2 single coils. I also have a B204 from the same exact, pretty much the same batch that came over here. My friend played bass, and he wanted to know what, he wanted to play bass, I should say. He played drums at the time, and he wanted a recommendation on bass, and I pointed him at the bass version of the guitar I had. So the actually the B104. This shows the 204. I don't see M100 listed here. I don't see B104. So was there no 100 models back then? I'm not sure. It doesn't show them in the catalog. Yeah, even here, when you look at these ones, these only show the 200s. So here's the V200. You just never see these. These are the 2 guitars that were sitting next to the M series that I bought. Was a Flying V like this, and then an Explorer like this. Man, look at that V200. You just rarely... I saw one come up for sale like in the last year sometime, and people were talking about it on Instagram. Somebody had sent a message to me and said, how crazy is it that this guy's charging $1,800 for this LTD? The thing is, for collectors, $1,800 is worth it. If you can't afford it, someone else will buy it. I mean, if it'll sell for that, I think it's fair to charge that. I don't know. Some people were upset about that. They're like, that's a guitar that was like $600 new. And it's like, yeah, well, it's a super rare guitar. You never see those. It's worth it. Look at the 2 LTD EXP 200s. The 12th fret on the white one has the LTD logo, and on the black one, it doesn't. I wonder why. Maybe they were taking requests. I'm not sure. But yeah, those are the 2 guitars. Man, it trips me out seeing that Flying V like that. That's like the JH100 style, kind of. And then here, which this is pretty cool, this is the Kirk Hammett's signature guitars. We got the KH2 Ouija, was just in the catalog. You could just order it that year. The regular KH2 right there with the skull and crossbones. The KH3, which they just reintroduced, the Les Paul flat body style. Such a cool guitar. And then the KH4, which rarely see those things. Those never come up for sale. No one has them, but that's basically a KH2 with a pickguard. He played it in the King Nothing video, I remember. Wow. Neck through. Okay, I thought it said bolt-on for a second. I'm like, what? That's bolt-on? I remember the George Lynch guitars. I would always look at these when I was young. I would see all these cool different colors, and every couple of years they'd come out with a new color scheme for them. What's he wearing there? Is that a karate outfit? That's weird. It could be a suit, I guess. Then we have the JH2 here. James Hetfield had like some of the craziest signatures. I was looking at the 97 catalog, which maybe we should dip into for a second, because it shows James and Kirk's first signature models that came out from ESP. And this is the second one. Look, it's the Diamond Plate Explorer. That's his signature model that you could just order off the shelf. And then like the Ouija is just available to order. Like, that's crazy. You never see these things for sale anymore. And you used to just be able to order them, like, no problem. Bruce Kulick, Ron Wood signatures. And then all the cool, the different dudes who played ESP in the 90s. Sepultura, Queensryche, Strife. Look at all the metal bands. I always wanted to be in here. Testament, Machine Head. A lot of these guys still play ESP. A lot of these guys I never hear of anymore. I always imagined one day maybe I would be in this. Because ESP was my favorite, and I would look at these catalogs like non-stop. So I would always think like, okay, I gotta be in there. And then when you get to the bottom, it's like guys you've never heard of. I'm like, I want to be on that first page with James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett. Oh, Rammstein, of course. Bob Kulick. Huh? Okay. Down here, the colors that they came in that year. They always had the color specs. Color sheet, or whatever you want to call it. And then this was like my favorite page. Go through here and like check things off. Type of construction you'd want. This is cool. Custom order form. Let's look. I think I had the 97 one. Here it is. So the EXP, the LTD EXP is here. Look at that, LTD M2 with the single coil neck position. When do you see those? I mean, they had to make a bunch of them. It's not like they made a couple of them. So this is what I was talking about, the JH1. This is the signature JH1. It's the flying V with the flames on it. You used to just be able to order that. Those are so rare now. And even more rare, the KH1. Look at that thing. The monkey inlays. It's a flying V with a Floyd Rose single humbucker. That's one of my favorite guitars of all time. One day I want to make a replica of that or get an old ESP original. I mean, now they're starting to get so expensive, they're going to be $5,000 plus. Unless I become a rich guy one day. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll probably just have to build my own. Awesome guitars. Brings me back looking at those old catalogs. I remember looking at those catalogs when they were new. Okay, so let's get into the questions for this week. Got a bunch of questions from you guys. Funny, right off the bat, the first question I got here on my list. Do you like the old LTD Vs? I love the old LTD Vs. Those were like amazing guitars. They're basically Gibson copies. If that's the LTD V that he's talking about there. I think the next year, 99, they switched to the pointy V, which I didn't see a 1999. Oh, there's the 99 catalog. Let's see if the catalog shows what flying Vs were available. Look at that. ESP made the Star for a while still. That's ESPs we're looking at. Yeah, so in 1999, they didn't even offer a V from LTD. Let's see, 2000. I know I had the 2000 catalog pulled up. I remember when all these came out. So this one right here, this is the Explorer I had on layaway. The LTD EX350 with the Floyd Rose and EMG HZ pickups. In that same color, gunmetal blue metallic. I had that on layaway and never ended up getting it because, you know, that's when my job ended and I had to move on. And I wonder who someone ended up getting that guitar. That thing is crazy. Have they changed that design more since then? That looks like it's more aggressive than the ones they sell now. I'm not sure. The V250, so they went to the pointed V after that. Do you like the old LTD Vs? I mean, I don't like this pointy one as much, but I do like it. Those rounded ones are just something nostalgic that I really love about those ones. What band do you suspect to be the new Big Four eventually? I don't know if anyone's going to be the new Big Four. I mean, the music industry has changed so much in the last so many years that there's a million bands out there now, and the Big Four was the Big Four because they pushed the genre, and the genre seems like it's pretty much been pushed as far as it can be. The heavy metal, thrash metal thing, it's moving in different directions and it's changing and evolving, but I don't think there's going to be a Big Four of thrash metal anymore, or of you know, that type of heavy metal. I think the Big Four will always be the Big Four. It's like, will there ever be a new that mountain? What is that? Mount Rushmore. I couldn't remember Mount Rushmore. I mean, they might make another one, but it's not going to be the same, you know? The Big Four is the Big Four for a reason. They paved the way. Have you ever played a Harley Benton? No, but I keep seeing these things, and I keep seeing like crazy, like $400 for a Harley Benton that comes with EMGs and a Floyd Rose, and the cost of those parts alone, it's worth you know, the pickups in the bridge, the tuners, like, I don't know how they're making guitars so cheap. They look like they're pretty cool guitars. They make really nice finishes on them. Never played one though. And I heard, you know, over in Europe, I think they're a lot more popular than here in the States. But people get like kind of made fun of for using Harley Benton from what I've heard. I'm not sure if that's true, but how much are you selling your next custom guitar for? Probably around $1,000. That's usually about, you know, with the price of the parts that I put into them and the price that I buy them for. I have like a threshold of how much I'll usually pay for a project guitar. So they all come out pretty much around the same price. Usually, you know, 900, 800, it would be the lowest. Maybe 750 if I'm doing some real basic stuff. But once you get into a Floyd Rose original and a set of EMG pickups, a kill switch, a custom paint job, like, you know, you got to add a certain amount just in the parts alone, really, and then the price I paid for the guitar, and then, you know, you need to make something on top of it. So they pretty much are all going around $1,000. Can we put active pickups on passive guitars? Yeah, totally. The LTDs that I showed you guys earlier originally came with passive pickups. When I was 13 years old or so, that became the first mod I ever did on a guitar. Was I bought a set of EMG pickups, of course, because Metallica uses EMGs. And I got 2 EMG 81s, threw them in that guitar that now has no pickups in it. And it had passives. I put active. You have to add a battery into the guitar. Active pickups use a battery. And that's about it. If you go from active back to passive, there's a little bit more. There's an extra wire you have to connect. That's it. A ground wire that active pickups don't use. So, yeah, you can definitely go from active to passive, vice versa, back and forth. Are you willing to pimp out a lefty Warlock? Absolutely. I'm willing to pimp out anything that someone wants me to pimp out. So if you have a custom guitar at home, you want me to fix it up, repaint it, do all this cool stuff to it, absolutely. mark@guitarguts.com. Send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about, you know, if you want to brainstorm on ideas and come up with a really cool custom idea for a guitar, let's do it. How are you? Great, man. Can't complain. Life is really good. Despite the craziness in the world, things are really good. Been busy as all heck, as all hell. I always wonder, like, should I not say hell on here? But hell, you could say hell. So yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. What are the worst and best guitars you have played in your opinion? I mean, the worst, it's a guitar that just hasn't been set up. Any guitar can be the worst guitar. Not any guitar can be the best guitar, but the best guitars I've ever played would be like these 2 Edwards behind me. The LTD MH-1000 that I showed you earlier. I got another one right here, the black one. And then the purple Rhodes here. These are guitars to me that are some of the best I've ever played. They're all neck through. Really nice quality guitars. And Kiesels. I played a bunch of Kiesels. I played, high-end EVH, like the highest end Eddie Van Halen signatures. To me, those are okay. They're okay, but I love these Edwards. These Edwards are the best playing guitars I've ever played. What is the biggest mistake or fail that you've learned from while building and modding guitars? The biggest mistake or fail would probably be you got to take your time. If you rush things, you might miss a step. It's not going to be as good as you wanted it. There's something about when you're building a guitar, you want it done so you can start playing it. But then if you cut corners, this is something that you're going to have for years to come, maybe the rest of your life. And while you're building it, a month or a couple months might seem like this thing is taking forever. I just want it done. But really, when you're going to have this thing for 30, 50, 70, 80 years, possibly, it's worth it to spend the extra month or 2 at the very beginning. Because it's this much time while you're working on it, and then this much time while you're owning it. So just taking your time, and if you mess something up, go back, fix it, do it again. But as far as fail, I mean, the thing about working on these guitars is they can always be fixed. Like if you wire something wrong, you could always fix that. If you paint something and you don't like the way it came out, you could always sand it off and repaint it. So the biggest mistake or fail, as long as you're not like damaging things, I mean, it's a learning process and it's experimenting, and that's the fun of it. It's trying things, and sometimes they don't work. But you know, after you've tried 50 things, you've picked up 10 that work really well. So I don't look at them as fails. I look at them more as just like a lesson. You learned a lesson. Is a Floyd Rose really worth it? Absolutely. If you want, to go crazy with the Floyd Rose, it's totally worth it. If you don't want to do dive bombs and do crazy squeals and pull up the bar and do all this insanity, then it's not worth it. But once you get really used to a Floyd Rose, they're not a lot of work. They become just as quick to change the strings on. You need an Allen wrench, which is no big deal. They make all kinds of little tools that you could stick on the back of the headstock of your guitar to hold the Allen wrenches there. Or in the whammy bar, FU Tone even makes where you take off the whammy bar, the bottom of the whammy bar is an Allen wrench. There's a bunch of really cool tools to make it convenient to keep your tools on the guitar nowadays. And it doesn't take much longer. I mean, I have a video on my YouTube channel here where I changed the strings of a Floyd Rose in 5 minutes, or 6 minutes, which is crazy. It's super fast. Most people can't change a Strat strings or Les Paul strings in that time. So it all depends on if you have the right tools and if you have patience and if you understand the system. When you understand how the Floyd Rose works exactly and what all the different components of it do, then it becomes pretty simple. What's your oldest guitar? Date made. The LTD I showed earlier is one of the oldest. I have a 1980s Epiphone Explorer over there, but I don't really play it too much. I have a 1960s Japanese import cheap guitar that somebody gave me. I don't really count that because I don't play it. I'm looking at my Epiphone Les Paul Custom over there. That one's a 1998 or 97. So that and my LTD that I showed you guys earlier, those are my two oldest of my personal collection. I have a couple, I have a few 1990s Strats too, like 92, 93 made in Korea Strats. My blue and purple Frankenstrat is one of those, so that's actually older. I didn't even think of that one. How did you get that crackle finish? I'm curious. Watch Trash to Thrash, last week's episode, and this coming week's will explain and show. Last week's showed it more. I'm going to show the results of the Kelly. If you watched last week's, you know what I'm talking about. I did crackle on a Kelly, Jackson Kelly, and it came out really cool, so be sure to tune in for that. Will you be doing anything with an Explorer? Yeah, last week on this show I was showing you guys I just picked up a Gothic Epiphone Explorer, really cool guitar, and I found a buyer for it. So he had an idea of what he wanted me to do with it, and I'll be starting that in the next couple weeks. So again, that'll be on Trash to Thrash. What is your songwriting process? Any tips would be great. Love Trash to Thrash, by the way. Oh, thanks, man. My songwriting process is, it's kind of different for different songs, obviously. I like to use different processes, so you come out with something different. But the main things I do are I come up with a collection of riffs, and if they fit together, that's great. If they don't fit together, I'll start thinking of like, what are ways that I can make these riffs, put riff A here, riff B here. How many riffs do I need in between to get this riff to kind of flow to become the right key, the right timing, all that, the right style, the right feel to where I can get to the second riff. And I write progressive music, so I don't write like verse, chorus. I write like riff and then another riff and then like a breakdown and then like a groove and then like another type of riff. So like it's like just a series of different things in a row. I don't really repeat that much stuff. So it becomes like this chain of different riffs in a row. And I'll fill in the gaps like that if I have two different riffs. Or sometimes I'll record a part and I listen to it over and over and over. I'll put down some drums that'll fit the riff. And then I kind of think in my head from each musician's point of view, because I like to write the riff, write some drums, write some bass, write second guitars, all that stuff, and get the whole little section kind of complete. And then I'll close my eyes and picture each musician, what they're doing, and think like, what would they do next if it was going to flow? Like, what would the drums come to next? Okay, we're at a hi-hat part, closed hi-hats. It should open up here, get bigger, open the hi-hats up, or like go over to the crash and start writing the crash. Or I'll think like, no, from the guitarist's point of view, I'll think, okay, well, if I was playing that kind of riff, it'd be cool to open up the guitar part more, go into something more chord-like. So I'll like take it from different angles depending on the riff. And then like if I am thinking from the drummer's angle, I might write out the drums for the next like 3 or 4 parts in a row, and then come back and write the guitar parts out for the next 4 parts on top of the drums. Or I might write all the guitar parts in a row and then fill in the drums after. But all right, well, the microphone died again, so just wanted to come in and say thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button if you enjoyed this episode. If you have questions you want me to answer on the next episode in the Q&As, write them down in the comments down below, and I'll throw them in the mix on the next time around. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.